What's up? What's up? Yeah, SPYs are acting pretty rough to even this low time frame imbalance here. And see, we got a break of structure, kind of this little three drive pattern going under the under this low up here, obviously, and then in this order block in this fair value gap. But oftentimes when we see this move in the morning, if our draw on liquidity or we don't have an obvious high time frame target up above, like I like these highs, but we'll see if she makes it up there. A lot of times you'll just retrace up into the impulse move of the morning, which we can see wasn't very much down in this area. So a lot of times you'll see at least some form of reaction in the first price delivery array in a premium of that little morning range. Um, so uh, really, the long trigger is there, but the target was so close. And this is what I was going over the other day. Sometimes just because the trigger is there doesn't mean the trade is there. So, for instance, and who knows, it could go higher. But when we come down here, we get that little initial break of structure with our fair value gap. You could have got an entry or an entry there. Stop could have been here, or here, whichever you like, and then you would look to target the first area of liquidity or imbalance in a premium of that morning move, which we can see was right in front of us. So now it's not to say that we won't go higher, but for me, that's my kind of my strategy on how I target stuff. But I do like these equal highs up here. I think there's a lot of liquidity built up there. And on the 15 minute, if we look, it's interesting because if we're looking for where our draw is in the 15 minute, seems like we wanted to push up here, and I don't see any kind of imbalance or anything of that nature um, in this whole little price leg except up here. So it seemed like when we come down here and we, fill that fair value gap and get a little reaction, we start to push up. It, seems like price wants something higher looking at the 15 minute. But the only place I really see any attention, obviously other than going lower, but the only reason I even looked at all for anything higher is because we reacted off of this order block after filling this imbalance after a flush out in the morning. So um, we'll see how this plays out. Um, I want to look at Bitcoin too. So overall for me is down on Bitcoin, but I was seeing a potential long setup forming last night. We talked about a little bit, I think, over here. Um, Not very strong. I think it's going to depend a lot what indices do. Not really much displacement to the upside. If anything, it seems like looking at the 1 hour. I mean, the 15 minute, you did feel this imbalance and came into this demand candle. I don't know what oops is. I won't show me for some reason on my screen what that emote is. Yeah, overall for me is just still down on Bitcoin. I mean, they're definitely like we caught the longs the other day. There's definitely longs to be had, but um, I actually see, like that. I'm gonna set an alarm here as well because that would be a potential zone for reversal. Just because there's that 4 hour imbalance and also that's a pretty clean high on the 15 minute. There's going to be some liquidity resting there, even if we don't, it doesn't take it too far down. And I like how we're kind of inching up into it. We're not like leaving a lot of imbalances behind that would be an issue if you wanted to get short there. Um, but overall, I mean, we are sitting in this fair value gap on the 4 hour. If we look at the 15 minute, as we were talking about a little bit last night, yeah, I mean, hell, even here, you kind of came up and really got a displacement BOS, but no fair value gap, so no trade. And then we obviously so we pushed to the downside pretty hard. And as we come back up into this uh, supply candle, we definitely had issues there, and it seemed like the bearish order flow stepped in as we took out the lows. But again, I'm more looking at this as what kind of areas of liquidity we're drawing to. I've noticed with Bitcoin, for me personally, um, I'd rather trade uh, where I think liquidity is drawing to than rather just supply and demand order flow. Um, but it looks similar to SPY. Honestly, there's a little imbalance here, and then there's some equal highs right here. We filled this imbalance down here. It's showing some form of bullish strength right there. On like a 1 minute, maybe. Nothing really much on any time frame yet. What's up, Adeliki? And what's up? Panique Mutt. Sorry, coughing. I actually just now got to my desk a little bit ago. I've been watching charts on my phone, but haven't really been in the office this morning. So a couple forex pairs I've been watching recently. Hmm. That's not what I was going for. What's up, Full Port Shorts? And what's up, Xavier? We got these equal lows down here. Ideally, I would like to see how we just filled this imbalance, what was left of it. So if we could get it, it doesn't seem like a very strong reaction off of it just yet. No break of structure to the downside, any displacement. It seems like it's just absorbing these orders. But if we can get that confirmation to the downside, um, I would like to see these lows get taken out. And then after that, we have this imbalance, or what's left of an imbalance down below. And that could give us enough fuel to go up here into this daily buy side liquidity. Because this is no question what we're drawing to for me. Now, we do have this imbalance down here. If we don't see a reaction there, but I just, once we get this close, I want to see that get taken. But, we know that we can leave equal highs. What's up, Luis? And we can, there's no law saying we have to take it out right now. But that's kind of what I'm looking for in dollar yen. It's not really during kill zone or when I trade Forex. What I'm going to do is I'll leave this here. I'm going to use a horizontal ray to set an alert. So that's kind of the narrative I see playing out here. I mean, the way to confirm it would be lower time frame break of structure to the downside. You could look for sells maybe into these equal lows even. You don't want to get too greedy when we're playing against the bias because we could very well react there. I like these lows down here. I put something on Twitter on Euro USD that I got some DMs about. So if we're looking at just a monthly chart, to me, there's no question of the range we're playing within, and that is this right here. So, and the reason I select these zones is just monthly order blocks. It's not like some kind of crazy strategy. It's just looking at the really big time frames where we can see evidence of the really big players getting involved. And we see here this monthly order block that kind of came in as Europe's energy crisis was really ramping up. So I think market makers, were shifting a lot of money from the euro out. So that will give the euro weakness, and obviously we know the denominator, United States dollar, has had immense strength since May. So that goes along with that narrative. And if we're looking at the next order block that is over here to the left hand side. Now, when I originally did this, we were a little higher up, but we're looking over here take that line out and extend it, you're just going to look for the most recent opposing order block that doesn't touch this line, which is going to be this candle right there, back from 2002. There's also some key levels on DXY from 2002 that coincide with this, but I would look for euro to hit this 99 cents. It's almost 99 even, but that's just where I'm at with the euro. So I actually saw someone else on Twitter, LH. She's has the same. It's not the similar bias as that exact that level, but I also saw that there was a short bias there. So I think that um, a lot of the bias right now on euro dollar for me is just a sell overall. And as of right now, it looks like we're reaching for these lows. You know, we did take this and sweep this down here. Um, so we could see maybe a reaction up to this daily imbalance. I'm actually going to move this down to the more recent one because we have that clean high right there. But overall, I think downside is what we're looking for on euro. I'm going to start participating in this market more just because it's becoming more and more clear to me. You know, once we were in this, it was just a mess where I'm just not really um, super intrigued with that kind of price action where I want to participate. But once I get a uh, bit more of a, oh wow, spies flying, looks like. There we go. Once I get a bit more of a uh, clear directional bias on something, that's when I get more eager to participate. So expect to see a little bit more EU analysis for me. I'm trying to trim down the pairs I watch. I don't really watch all these cryptos. I'm just kind of like looking at them for major moves and swings. I was watching gold pretty heavy there for a while, but I've been playing indices this week. Um, but I like euro dollar and I like US dollar yen. So and also another pair that I like is dollar Swissy. Good morning, Hunter, and also Born. Um, this pair right here, I mean, we came into this imbalance. See how we got that reaction, but then pushed right through it? That tells me that price is drawing to something higher. Um, and also, this kind of coincides with a lot of indices and a lot of different um, different pairs that are denominated by the dollar. They're kind of at these points where we're looking for potential reversals. So that would go with the narrative that the dollar is gaining strength, even coming into areas against the Swissy where it sold off before, where there would have been orders. So we can see that market makers may have been cycling their interest or their value into the US dollar, because if it has enough strength to push through the sell orders that we saw here, then most likely it's drawing higher. So I'm just looking at these equal highs right now and would look to build trades around that. I had this imbalance or a supply candle here in that imbalance, and you can see that we're pushing up into it pretty rapidly here. Now, this can change with if this daily candle were to just turn around and go crazy to the downside. You know, that would change my bias for sure. But you know, other than that, I could see a push up to these highs. And then pound dollar, we took out these lows. So now um, we could see a potential reversal scenario going on here. We're reacting pretty nicely off of them. I'm actually going to look. You can see we came out, maybe even look for one more liquidation, like maybe a push up into this imbalance and then one more liquidation. I'm actually going to change this to yellow because I'm a little one thing I recommend you guys do is go on your charts and change these little flags. If you're trading a bunch of pairs and if you're day trading, you can actually really, I used to not utilize them as much because, you know, for a while there, everything was just bullish if you were trading crypto or anything. And these can help with remember your daily bias. You should be able to remember it if you're really in tune with the pair you're trading. But for me, it helps whenever I'm scanning around because I kind of try to I stay a little bit more fluid with the pairs I trade. If I see a lot of volatility potentially coming in the week from maybe some news, um, or maybe we're just at key levels, I'll start to kind of switch around what pairs I watch. So I keep a lot on the watch list right now, but I'm not necessarily watching them all. So it helps to have these marks or these little flags to give me a little refresher. So I'm actually gonna mark this one yellow as well. um, this one I need to change. I haven't watched GJ in a little bit. So GJ, we talked about these lows over here. Flo from the Discord actually had brought these to my attention, so shout out to Flo. But these lows got taken. Seems like that indeed was a draw on liquidity. Now price has moved to the upside. I think it's engineering a lot of short side, or not short side, buy side liquidity in the form of stops on these shorts. Everybody wants to short this pair, but we have this imbalance right here in all of these highs. And now we're down in this imbalance right here. I tweeted this the other day that I was looking for these equal highs. Um, this actually doesn't look bad. I'm gonna keep an eye on GJ. If I can remember, for some reason I always forget to watch this pair. We're rating lows into this imbalance. This actually doesn't look terrible. Not necessarily the.
Did you short Euro USD? I got 60 pips on a short.
I haven't traded euro dollar in
And
a while. I've been watching it like recently, but I haven't traded it in like. The last time I traded euro dollar was like literally back in like this region, like early July. Keep shorting that bitch though. Shit's going. That shit's
Oh,
going
I
back
TP'd.
under.
I didn't want to keep it going.
Oh
60
yeah, yeah.
pips is a lot.
No, yeah. I
You know.
meant just like in general, like the bias,
Oh,
not like that
yeah.
short. Um. What was I gonna say? The GJ. We're in this imbalance in the daily and on the 1 hour. It looks like got that. Where was it? That 5 minute. We got a break of structure. If you want to go by that. But for me, if I'm looking, I want to trade the time frame I'm looking at. So a lot of people, when they're learning imbalances, they'll look at this and they'll say, okay, well, I'm going to get on the 1 minute. Well, there was a 1 minute entry, in my opinion. Well, actually, I don't know if it came down on this fair value gap right here, right? And then, what would we target? We are just looking at, the impulse move that brought you down to where you're at, right? If you're looking for it. So what's in, and that's what I was saying earlier. Just because there is a trigger doesn't mean that there is a trade. That's not how this works. You don't want to, um, just take a trade for every time that your entry model provides. Your risk management has to stay consistent too. So don't get it twisted. If you have a good enough risk to reward and your entry model is presenting itself, you have to execute relentlessly, mechanically, without hesitation. But if you look and say, okay, well, what is my target here? Well, using a 1 minute chart, I wouldn't take it to like a 15-minute or a daily target or anything like that, right? I would just look to take into the first area of liquidity in a premium, right? Or you cut it in the imbalance or whatever. So now, while we could go higher, I'm not saying we can't. I'm just saying for the 1 minute entry, that's what my trade would have been. So I'm not going to justify getting into this off of a 1 minute chart. So now what I would be looking for is the 15-minute to show me some desire to go up, because what we can see is that we do have this imbalance right here. All of this, most likely we'll get a reaction here, and we'll be able to see some structure form on uh, the 15-minute, and then that will give us more of a bias and a better, I guess, better confirmation to look to take along up to like these higher areas. Because with me with GJ, I'd rather just get into a swing type trade. Looks like SPY is going up to those highs. That's why I posted that. That was the only area, and see how we do the daily or the draw on liquidity. We do it on the daily chart a lot of the time, and you can do the same thing on any time frame. It gets a little more difficult, sure, on these lower time frames, but you can oftentimes see where price is drawing to. It's a little more dynamic, but the principles that you use on any time frame can be used on another time frame. It just has to be um, you have to do it in the context of the higher time frame. So if you're doing something on a 15 minute, you're going to have to do it in the context of maybe the 4 hour, and then whatever your context that you're operating in there, well, that should be built around the daily. You see what I mean? So or at least in cognizance of the daily, what the daily is telling you. So he said ETH. Excuse me. Honestly, Bitcoin looks better than ETH in my opinion right now. I think ETH's getting closer to where it's going to look pretty nice. See how we reacted off these highs here? We talked about that too. I'll go ahead and mark that out. I think we're in the daily imbalance right here. So we've came back down to that draw we spoke about. I could see a little lower just because in the 4 hour. Well, I mean, let's see I want to see what this zone sponsored a break of. I mean, this zone could hold some interest. I just don't like how it's sitting right in front of that imbalance, but it is a good little supply and demand flip zone. So you can see that that was where the market really, a lot of buying was injected into the market because we came up and took out that high. And we came up, reacted into the supply, pushed back, had that little sell to buy range, and then expanded. And also there are some lows front running it right there. So it doesn't look bad. Now if we look at the 15 minute, I mean, really for me, I almost want to see this high get taken before I give a 15 minute because we have this almost potentially looking like a redistribution scenario. I mean, it's not not nothing set in stone there, but um, we have. If you look, we came up right here, took the low, and then we never took the low again. So to me, this is the range we're in. This is kind of the impulse move, and until we break above that, I don't necessarily see um, enough confirmation for me personally that we're going to move to the upside. Now, I could be wrong, but that's kind of just the way I would look at it. But if we get above that, I'm going to look for whatever demand pushed us up above that and so forth. But looking at a 4 hour, I want more into this imbalance. So we've got that would fill the daily imbalance. Also, we've got this order block right here, that whole little downward move. So I could definitely see a push down a little bit lower. Somebody said 15-second chart, bro. I don't know if you're asking if why I have it or if you're asking to use it. I use it for I've tested it for confirming fair value gap entries on indices in the mornings. I still don't really use it for like a stop loss or anything, but sometimes I'll peep into a 15-second if I'm looking to confirm like a 1 minute to a 5 minute fair value gap. We can take a look. So like this morning, let's draw the fair value gap. That'd probably help. So you could have looked at this fair value gap right here and said, okay, well, I want to wait for a break of structure after prices reach into this fair value gap. The 12-hour ETH candle, I'm assuming that was that order block that I was talking about, maybe. But like here, if we look, we have this break to the upside, and then you can see, you can confirm these fair value gaps and said, okay, well, where was the demand? Well, we're going to use the market extreme. You might have got max pain left out right there. But that actually, no, it tapped in. But you see how the 15-second, I mean, a lot of people would laugh, but I mean, it can definitely give you a sniper entry. But I will say it's just like anytime you continuously scale down into the lower time frames, you risk being left behind more, and you also risk getting stopped out more. What's the trade-off? Higher risk to reward. Because if you look, let's just say you took a trade right there, your stop loss, which I wouldn't necessarily do this, would be $1, which is that's your spread would almost be as much as your stop loss, and you can see that that would transform the trade to a much crazier trade. But don't get fooled and just think this is all, fun and games, or it's all just sweet, because a lot of times, yeah, that happens, and then you get, stopped out and it goes without you, or it just leaves you, in the first place. There's a lot of irritating stuff that can occur there. Here, I'd look on the 15 minutes, probably going to come back down to this imbalance I would look at, and then we'll see how it reacts there. Got a little order block right there, and also this whole candle right here I would consider an order block. But let's see what this. Yeah, the mean threshold's below that fair value gap. So again, just drawing liquidity on the 5 minute, you can really just see where price is bouncing between, and then once price hits one of your POIs or your areas of interest, you can just go on a lower time frame, try to confirm that area. If you can, great. If you can't, then look for the next area down below or wherever. That's the same thing we do in the daily chart. Somebody said look at ETH of the 12-hour. Yeah, that's that 4-hour. Well, I mean, it's a 12-hour order block with this right here. That's what I was saying. It looks like an order block. So that's where I would look for as well. 1790. You said that I have that mark on this as well.
Same POI on Bitcoin.
Yeah, is it similar?
Yeah, the unmitigated daily order block.
Oh yeah, over here. Or wait, I'm not.
Yeah, it's a POI I put in MPix like 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we've been talking about this one for a minute too.
But you can see we tap that fair value gap, and I look at that as just liquidity for dumb money or smart money. I see that as dumb money entering, and then we'll manipulate that low and hit the 50% of the imbalance.
Yeah,
which
no, I
also
can agree
lines
with
up with
that.
the order block.
For sure.
Get a reaction from there.
No, I agree for sure. And we had this little 3 drive on the daily too, and on, I think it was 3 daily, and then on the 3rd drive you had it on the 1 hour. It was clear
Yeah,
as
we either
fucking day.
reaccumulate that order block or we drop hard.
Yeah, for sure. That's that same here. Like I think that that's kind of like a decisional point, because we have this imbalance we can operate off of. But if you don't react there, I mean, the next other than this low, like you got that low, and then you got these equal lows down here. That's like it, really.
Yeah, if we don't bounce at my POI, I think I had a sweeping 17.5.
Yeah.
The whole range low completely.
Yeah. I would wait. I'm just waiting for I just kind of play ping pong between them. So for instance, like if we react here, cool. I'd look for any imbalance we made along the way. If we react there, I'm gonna look for the lows that you see what I mean. Like I just kind of play ping pong between them. Now the weekly chart, I will say, if we start pushing really down, and you have maybe 2 down strong weekly candles, that would tell me we want the really, I mean, I don't know. These lows look somewhat interesting on a weekly, but in my experience, whenever you have something that looks like that, you always go for the lowest one. Also, you got their weekly equal lows as well, if you look right there. So, and again, I've been trying to, people said I was crazy when I was talking about eventually Bitcoin going down to 11, 12K, but I still could see that.
I believe it.
Yeah, I can see it for sure.
Dude, we could sweep 3,600.
Yeah, that would be insane. That would be fucked. I don't know about all that, but I mean, we could, but I know that's what ICT said. He said he was something like 10K then 0. Where he's like, this is good. He said in some stream that 3,600 was
Bitcoin to 0.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is 0.
All crypto to 0. Everything to 0. Everything to 0.
He was like, yeah, you guys
I
fell for the.
personally in these markets don't. I've been targeting internal liquidity with internal liquidity, so I don't get stopped out on my shit.
It never hurts to be extra safe.
I mean, I go heavy as fuck, so like I said, a fucking 60 pip move pays like people trying to target 1,000 pip move.
That's because their stops are like fucking.
That's how you lose your funded if you do no stop loss.
People be on like a 200K account with like a 3 lot because their stop loss is so big.
Fuck that. I go 30 lot, fucking 20. Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude, I traded.
There goes max leverage.
I mean, you can hit
Bro,
30
if you know
because
what you're doing,
you gotta think it's only $10. So every lot for every pip is $10. So like, if you have on a euro dollar, you can easily get a 2 to 5 pip stop loss. Like euro
yep,
dollar doesn't move that crazy. So like, you gotta think like, I mean, a 30 lot on a euro
come on,
dollar really isn't
Casper.
that much.
Yeah, no, you're way under leveraged because you're not risking as much.
Well,
If you use
my
like the
whole deal is,
calculator, you're risking less than
So like a
like I
6
don't
pip
know.
stop would be $1,800. That's the
yeah,
that's yeah.
and you're catching like 30, 40 pips, so you could do the math. There's no need to go for a 500 fucking 54 to 1 trade. That's nice, bro.
Yeah.
Like, but how many times did it take you to actually, get there with profits? Like, did you get stopped out like 50 times and then you got your 1 to 54 trade? Or,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 2
I
to
could have
3.
caught, I could have just caught, like, every
Catching the
move
1 to
where you
50s and the
got
hourly
stopped out.
candles.
Every move where you got stopped out, I was taking profits. Like, in a sense, like I got in, I got out, I got in, I got out, I got in, I got out. I
Pers-
still caught that 1 to 54 trade,
How
but
I
I
fuck.
probably made more money than you
Personally,
just holding on to a trade.
I like just like really with Forex especially, um, I like to be like in and out, bro, like in the early session, like with a lot of Forex pairs, and I'll take 2 to 3 R, but I get my, like for instance, like I didn't take this, but I'll find one you could have easily taken. Just like any kind of liquidity rates. Okay, like here's kill zone, like in here. Easily probably found something off this. Let's see if it gave an entry though, because it looked like it moved fast.
I think Bitcoin expands during NY to the downside.
Yeah, this was nice right here. So like see that right there? So you see how we came up, we kind of made a short-term low and got that little displacement candle. Nothing crazy, but that's enough to where you could take a short. That just confirms the liquidity rate. You could have taken a short there down to the bottom of the range. And then it wouldn't have been crazy R, but it's those usually hit is the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not. It's like barely 2R. I can't say I would have taken that actually, but if it was, I'll take 2R just because spreads are going to knock it down a little bit. But if you make it in like 20 minutes, and it's the thing is with these, you have a much higher win rate than and less screen time. That's the nice thing about them. But
Yeah, I don't like working. I don't like fucking worrying about, did I get stopped out?
right,
Like, I'd rather just take my profits and I'm gonna go take a nap. Like,
I
fuck
feel
worrying
it.
about all that bullshit.
Yeah, I like getting stopped in seconds. No, I'm right or wrong right away.
Right, where it's
It's
like
either I'm right
decisional.
or wrong, and then I'm out.
Literally
It's
right
either I'm
away.
happy or depressed for the rest of the day.
Done.
Like, you know?
I think my favorite's when you get fucking tricked out by the market, get a nice little move away from your entry, and
I
then it just
mean,
completely dicks down through it with a boner
there's
candle.
there's ways as to not get trapped, That's what the lower time frames are for. You don't just set I don't just set limit orders. I wait, you know. There's one thing I learned that if I wait for TP, oh man, it's never gonna happen.
A lot of times with indices, like I have TPs and stuff, but I'll also watch and just trim like at certain levels, just based off how at the time of day too. Like New York lunch, like if you open something in the morning and don't take anything going into the lunch, you're a fucking madman.
Yeah, what I like to do when I'm trading those, I like to watch FANG because they're the ones that move all the indices. If I see, that's why I was mentioning Apple and Tesla this morning. If I didn't see those two move, there's no trade. I don't care how good the chart looks. They're the ones that are the money holders in the Nasdaq and in S&P. If you see a big displacement red candle, like if you go look at it right now, you look at Tesla, Apple, both under the 200 on a lower time frame, which holds huge significance, the 200 on lower time frames. and you look at the index funds are pulling back, and you'll see a reaction in the stocks before you see it in the index funds, as light as it might be, but it's a huge confluence because they're the
Right.
ones that hold all the money in there. But like right there, we Tesla and Apple failed to break out from their morning levels.
I saw something Apple was talking about, like, like fucking, what was it? Like putting ads on like the Maps app because they need more revenue. I was like, damn. But didn't they like beat revenue, or was it some company like or
No,
not?
yeah, they beat revenue, and they have an expected price
Oh,
target of
shit.
210.
I'll go. I just looked at Tesla. Here, I'm about to send you my chart. That a retracement yesterday was actually a mitigation of the supply. We actually might have another leg down here.
Yeah, right now the thing that's making me bearish on Tesla and Apple is the fact that China closed down one of the major cities that exports batteries for Tesla, and they manufacture about 60 to 70% of the semiconductor chips in the world.
I
And
actually
they're
saw
shut
something
down for
about
a whole
that.
week. So just gotta pay attention to the macros a little bit. We gotta know what's going on around the world.
Yeah, if anything ever happens with Taiwan, that's gonna be good GG's for for a lot of shit for a minute, just because of how much shit's made there. Like,
I mean, Russia and fucking China just became allies.
my
So
dad actually, he works in carbide carbide tool sales. Basically, it's like metal
like
drill bits
Snap-on,
that.
right?
Yeah, exactly. He actually sells tools to Snap-on. But so he's like he works for a company. It's Mitsubishi Materials, um, not like the car company, but I mean it's Mitsubishi. It's the same name and stuff. But he was talking about how now, like in all the plants that he's seen, like in multiple different states and different countries, they're all like rushing to like implement like systems where they can manufacture certain things themselves, so they're not reliant on like other
Yeah.
countries and shit. I was like, damn, that's crazy. Everyone's like getting ready
Yeah,
for
like
some fucking
Apple
crazy
switched
shit.
to Vietnam for their MacBook Pros and iPhones. It was huge news the other day.
The real merging. I had a
Jesus,
question for you.
what's up?
Bitcoin sideways or New York expansion to the downside?
Honestly, I mean, I just let's see.
Depends on how the index funds close,
That's
bro.
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, like it really just depends what SPY does, but I mean, overall, it does not look insanely hot here. I mean, 1 minute it doesn't look terrible, but if you see it, just all it was doing is retracing the impulse move. So for me, like the institutional order flow is still down because I look at it like, okay, well, I'm just looking at imbalances and lows. So we came down, took a low, left the imbalance, reacted off that. You know what I mean? So that tells me like if hell, there might be something in this wick that it wants, but other than that, it tells me it wants these equal lows, these low, and then it's like, but then what's stopping you? You know what I mean? But there is
Yeah,
like,
that's where I'm at currently because that swing on the 5-15 minute that's all one bearish downswing. All we're doing is internally retracing right now.
yeah, exactly.
So I know you've seen this happen on Bitcoin a lot, but like there are times where we'll start to retrace, right? And then literally just a big boner dump candle out of
Yeah,
nowhere to break the whole entire range.
yeah. I mean, it's just not like this is why I'm not really participating because like, I mean, the only displacement on a 15-minute chart is this right there. So like, then I look, I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? Now I can go down and like refine this. I think probably 3 minute would be better than a 5 even. You got that order block, and that I like this because it swept liquidity, right? So it's like,
What you're doing is actually how you identify redistribution ranges.
honestly,
I've
that's the thing with ICT stuff. A lot of it really, I like when I'm trading, like, and like the other night that Bitcoin long I took, I was like this, like I don't even trade accumulation. I know this is accumulation. like,
Yeah,
like
no, I've learned if you drop your supply and demand within ranges and you just pay attention to where internal market structure is breaking and which side of demand or supply is getting respected, you'll have a bias for which way the range is gonna break.
yeah,
I used to mark up like reaccumulation and redistribution and all of that shit, but now I just look at the supply and demand and just see internally where we start to break structure and where the order flow is.
yeah, because like I see this like potentially like, okay, so I see like one drive, two drive. Well, I'm sorry, one, two, or I'm sorry, I just fucked it up. Two down to this little area, and then like a third drive, and then you see that move up with the imbalance. We react off the imbalance, and so it tells me it's seeking something higher. But like that's going to be one of two things, whether it's to mitigate or to liquidate. And it seems like it was to mitigate. So if it was to mitigate, then I look for like range lows usually. But I looking at SPY, it looks like it could see a little higher. We'll see. Um, may have already seen the move up for the day, but that's why I just kind of watch SPY. I mean, I almost like in a way sometimes trading Bitcoin during Tokyo because it's like after the day, like and this
Just
shit
Yeah,
over
me
that
here,
too
close
lately.
out.
like look at that shit right there was fucking. I was pretty proud of that because I was like I sat there and built this whole narrative, but the it was the same thing. It was like look like one drive, right, clearing those lows, second drive clearing these lows, third drive clearing those lows, move up with the displacement imbalance. I think there's imbalance in the 15-minute over here, push up, and then we saw that low time frame consolidation inside this really small imbalance. Oh no, so this really small imbalance, right? I think it was on a 15-minute. Um, right there. And as soon as we saw that and I started seeing like breaks of structure to the upside after these low time frames, I was like, yeah, it's about to moon. And it was like last minute. What's funny is I literally got on, like I had plotted the narrative for like days that we are going to come up above these highs. I even put that shit on Twitter that I wanted to move into equilibrium, this fair value gap before more downside. And literally I got on like literally, it was like 15 minutes before I signaled this. I was like, oh shit, this shit's about to go right now. And then I was laying in
I
bed,
love that feeling.
bro,
I
you know what
love
I'm
when you're
saying?
looking at price and you're like, yeah, this shit looks like it's about to fucking moon, and then you're just like, let me place an order real quick.
Yeah, and like I used to like have like a thing like where if I did that, I would be like, "Oh, well, chill. You just sat down, bro. Just chill for a second." And then now I'm just like, I know. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. If you take a loss, take a loss. And I only risked half as much, unfortunately, because it was against my daily bias. Like my daily bias, again, is just where like that same POI you have is we're going for that low in this imbalance. It just seems clear what shit's drawing to. It seems like SPY is making another little move. So that's what we're saying. Like, look, we reacted off a high. Then we come down to another imbalance. And then now what? We're going up to highs. Maybe it's this high, maybe it's, I don't know. But you see how fluid the market really is. It's just all this number on your screen, the reason price is where it's at, is just delivering to where there are orders, right? It's just there's a thing about liquidity is literally like a magnet. That's what it's called, the draw on liquidity. And if we look at the 15-minute, it really never changed. But if you were just watching this and you get your bias shaken up really easy because you're like, oh fuck, what the fuck, we're pushing back down. But then you see this massive candle right here, and if the order flow is indeed bullish on the time frame you're looking at, any of those wicks or any of those down moves, those are just buying opportunities. But that's why it's important as fuck to maintain whatever bias you have. You know what I mean? Like, because it's really easy to uh, get lost in the price action if you don't look at it from one perspective and don't change it and like be okay with if that ends up being wrong, and wait till it's like at that decision point where you are wrong, not like, oh, I might be wrong, so I'm going to switch up. That's how you end up like long here early, take profit, then you short, give back that, then you try to short up here, get wrecked again. And it's like that's like a huge problem that I think people have um, when they're trading really smart money in general, but especially if you're learning like ICT type esque stuff. But I mean, this to me, like I took a long yesterday. I almost signaled it, but I was just like, bro, You'd be a certified piece of shit to signal along right before FOMC, but I took 2 on 30 and on SPY. 30 was like clean as fuck, but I was like, it didn't hit the target I wanted. It hit some. I took profits like this order block here, and then I took more profits like as soon as I saw that candle, I was like, yeah, this shit's gonna dump, because he was talking about raising rates. But so like for me, this was just like a very simple supply and demand entry. It was like 4-hour order block. This is like elementary smart money, and I was like, bro, don't be scared. Just take the goddamn, take the shit. And it literally like came down that 4-hour order block. I refined to a 1-hour, right? I think I may refined to a 15-minute even, but right in there, it came down. 15-minute change of character, broke that high, so I just drew that whole 15-minute order block. It also swept liquidity, so I like that. Then as soon as price came back down, it's really rapid. This is another one I watched like last minute. Price came back down into, I mean, to me, this is the only form of demand is that little wick. I just drew the whole candle. And then if you want to get really technical, and this is where it gets jumbled up, where people are like, what the fuck? How do you even see that? But it's just you have to be like practical with it. So it's like, okay, once price came back down into this 5-minute zone, what was the next break? It was there. That's a clear order block. Bam. See what I mean? Because originally I had drawn this, but I was like, no, that was because I just entered it I didn't put a tight stop base off the 1 minute. I just did the 5-minute stop. I entered that shit and like literally, I was like, because there's been so many times where I wanted to take a trade right before with news and I didn't, because I was like trying to, like, I was telling myself it was irresponsible, but like, and I guess it kind of is at times, but if price is giving you what you need, like just don't be afraid to like take a loss. That's one thing I have to say, because I was pretty happy that I did that yesterday, and it didn't hit full target. Like, to me, I just targeted the high because I was using a 4-hour structural entry method. So I ended up just using that as the target. But I didn't necessarily even really expect it to go all the way up there. I was kind of just taking profits. Like, I took profits at this candle right here, and then like somewhere in here. I should have just taken them all. That was the only downfall of this trade. Anytime like you get a big ass impulse move like that, in my opinion, some may disagree. If you're in like a day trade, like, you're not, if you're in like a swing and you get a big pump, don't just FOMO sell. I'm not saying this, but like if you enter a trade and then in like 5 minutes it just fucking starts flying and it starts taking liquidity, like, don't be afraid to like take some profits there. Somebody asked me, what should I okay, sorry, I just not seeing things. What source of news do I follow? I just use my Forex book. A lot of people use Forex Factory. It honestly looks better. I just like the app on my Forex book. They're the same thing. It's just basically it shows you any kind of economic numbers that may influence the direction of currencies. But anything with USD is going to influence the stock market as well. Or really, even super important stuff like in Europe. Like, I remember inflation numbers when they doubled last month in Europe. I think it was last month. But whenever they doubled from 2.5% to 5%, that fucking rocked everything. Just because the reason because like I had somebody ask me, I'm glad you brought this up. Somebody asked me like, why does bearish USD news matter? This and that. Well, all it does is it will cause the rebalancing of finances. So, for instance, if there's a lot of funds, and it may not even be smart money, like not every large body of money is smart money. There's a lot of big dumb money, and most of the time the stops that are getting taken out aren't retail. They're dumb institutions or like dumb funds, that don't trade with the the big dogs, so to speak. Not everybody's BlackRock is what I'm trying to say. But whenever some kind of news comes out, like that home sales are down really bad or this and that, well, a lot of people that or a lot of institutions that have money in whatever it may be, stocks or bond, whatever, they're gonna start to liquidate. So whenever value transfers from one body to the other, it's gonna give that body value. So for instance, if you look at DXY and it's being accumulated, well, all that is showing you, it's just a visualization with candlesticks that a lot of money is kind of coming together into the dollar. So what does that mean? People are selling their shit. It's much simpler than people like, because I had something like, how are people manipulating like DXY like that? And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, but it's more so everything else getting manipulated as a whole, and the money is flowing into a different instrument. So, Bitcoin can be doing absolutely nothing, but if USD is fucking flying, guess what Bitcoin's going to do? It's going to dump the pair to USD. So once you look at it like that, value kind of has a different, you have a different take on value. It's just, how much juice, if you will, is in one of these assets. And if it's in the one at the end of your pair, your pair is going to go down. But somebody said, what should you do in crude oil? You're a demon.
Crude oil was
Crude
a
oil.
long at 85.
I know. Yeah, I was gonna say I'll go
follow
message
that
around.
TA, bro.
Oh, wait, went to the weekly draw on liquidity. I haven't looked at this in a minute. It's in like a couple weeks. So this was the original draw right here, and seems like we're accumulating under it. So on the daily chart, we also have taken out a low. Didn't get the reaction here we want, but we start to see, look, we have that first, second, third drive. So you could start to see a push to the upside. If I wanted to see any kind of like major swing, like the way I would do it, actually, why do I have that green line there? Is that a monthly order block? It is. I'm gonna leave that line. Why is it green? It goes pink. I don't know why. I've never. I just oops, not date in 1 minute. But so, and also that kind of goes with this narrative. If we can get a break of structure in the daily, like I wouldn't even look at this less than it personally. You may want me to look at some of them in a daily. You said I have hold 7,000. If I'm looking at this on a daily, I would look at a break above these highs with displacement, which that is 95.05. If you get a break above that, look for an imbalance, in that move, and then start to get on the low time frames there and build long ideas like up to this high. That's how I would play it. I don't touch oil though. Kudos to you. If you trade oil good, like you're a good trader, because oil is known as one of the hardest things to trade. There's this podcast I listen to it sometimes. It's called here, I'll tell you. Actually, hold on 1 second. I'm actually we're about to start a podcast too, but I almost started playing some ESTG on my speakers. That would have been loud as fuck on accident. Hold on. Where's my podcast? But this guy on this podcast, he's been an index trader. He's been like in the top 50 independent retail index traders. He's a floor trader. His name's Chris Cady. Chat with Traders. That's the name of the podcast. But he was talking about trading oil and talking about how it was the hardest thing he's ever traded. But he did trade it for a couple years. Also, I appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. We do these every day. We'll be on here tomorrow too. It'll be a late night stream tomorrow though. Adeliki, can I check CHC? Yes, I can. Also, how do I draw the straight line without using the trend line? I'm about to change your life. So that is a trend line. Hold shift. Yeah, that's change. I remember when I figured that out, I was like, wow. This whole time I've been like, because I used to use the crosshair, and I'm like trying to like make it straight, like line it up with it, and then Flyers actually from the Discord, and he was like, bro, what? He's like, just use the shift key, and you can also use control. See, I'm anchoring it. So if you want to get like accurate levels, like let's say if I want to know like this high, well, I can go control, and it's going to anchor to it, and then shift, so I know that high is 95.05. And then this over here, if you're referring to that, is a horizontal ray tool. Yeah, Braden. Yeah, no, on Discord he said dead ass, bro. You just gave bro the sauce. But yeah, it's bro, it's life changing. CHZ. I think weren't you were trading this yesterday a little bit. I like I was telling you, like I'd be careful here if you're trying to look long. I mean, I'm guessing you're trying to short, but I think it still needs time to develop. You're in this weekly order block, filled the weekly imbalance. It's looking like a fat short setting up. I want to see just more intention to go down. Because if I'm looking at supply and demand, I'm looking at this up here, which I don't think we're going to make it up there. We could, but maybe on like a daily. Same with this, but I mean, there's not like the imbalance is already filled, because I can see that. But then if I look, where's the displacement? Okay, there's that, and it got filled to a T. So I'm not necessarily interested in all that up there. If anything, maybe where we're at in this little buy to sell range right there. So let's go to a 4 hour and see. And the reason I just did that, so for those who are wondering, if I look at it, okay, where the initial selling began up here. What was, the evidence of that? This fair value gap, that big displacement candle. What happened? It got filled. What filled it? This little buy to sell range, right? Guess what that buy to sell range is going to be inside of? It's not going to show it, but it's going to be inside of this order block and inside of that weekly imbalance. So that gives me more of conviction in that area. So then I can scale to a lower time frame and see anywhere I see a nice little displacement. Because we're all looking at where do these big moves start that haven't been rebalanced. And I see right there. Also, you've got all these highs right there. If we cleared this, oh yeah, look at that. There you go. Now, honestly, actually good shit out of here, because I might short the fuck out of this shit coin soon. I'm gonna put this on my watch list. I'm actually gonna put this, because if crypto does start falling, this shit is gonna die. Just because I know that it's been railing. I don't know if there's any fundamentals to why this has been railing, but what I'm actually specifically going to look for is a break under this, preferably with displacement, like a closure under it, because we do have this down here. We could see price, kind of mosey onto it. If you just see that, you might get a little wick, and then you want to force that short narrative. But really, what just happened was a liquidity grab, and then we're coming up deeper into that POI, or maybe even farther. But that's what I would look for. If we get a break there, and if I start to see all the time frames shift bearish, I'll short the fuck out of this coin. Because like the weekly, next weekly target will be down there, in this range at least, but that'd be a pretty nice little move. Maybe this I'd probably target in here. It'd be a nice move. We'll see though. I'll keep an eye on it. I have it alert set, so good looks on that. Hey, also ZP, I appreciate it. I just checked the DM. I really appreciate that, bro. Much love. Yeah, ICT concepts of the wave, in my opinion. I like supply and demand too. Supply and demand's good, but once you really start to get liquidity down, I think you can navigate. Somebody said video is not clear. Is it not? Somebody else tell me if it is it, because I don't. It should be. Is anybody else in stream? Anybody there? Everybody's silent as shit. I was wondering, like, I know. Okay, video looks good. Okay, maybe it's your connection. For being, it should be good. I'm on Ethernet. It should be straight.
The video looks good to me, Casper.
Cool.
But sometimes when my connection is bad, it does get foggy for a little bit.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Okay, I always say it's clear. Yeah, honestly though, I just almost called you CHC. Adeliki, I like CHC for short soon. But see how it's important to like kind of build that narrative. But if you just look at this, like, it's not that clear. But once you start to think about it, Yeah, much love, ZP, for real. I appreciate you, man. Steady working. ZP's one to watch out for. I'm telling you, he's on the grind. Dudes came up a bunch real quick. This also, JL, wouldn't you say this looks like pride distribution? Like preliminary supply down here, like up, or whatever this is, secondary test, up thrust, Well, this isn't a UTAD right there, obviously, or unless it's the LPSY. I don't know. Doesn't really look like it would be.
I agree with you, but you want to see that bottom line get broken with
Yeah.
displacement and volume.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
this right here?
within that whole swing, yeah, there's
Okay,
nothing
bet. There we
stopping
go.
you from accumulating right after that and turning into reaccum to push higher.
Exactly, because that's what I was saying. If we look at the 4-hour, like if we don't, even if you break it, but now with displacement, you come down in here, you could just come up and just take out those highs. Somebody said, Casper, what pairs do I trade after London close? Shit, preferably nothing. I think that, I mean, if anything though, I'll take a PM trade on indices between 1:30 and 2:30. That's the latest. And then for Tokyo, you could trade like GJ or UJ. But even then, I think they move better in New York session and London. But Bitcoin, honestly, is probably your best bet. Bitcoin moves like sometimes crypto moves fucking crazier in Tokyo than anything. There for a while it was like all Tokyo. Like here, let's look. Here over, yeah, in this area we were like expanding during Tokyo like often, which usually because Bitcoin moves with indices, you're gonna see New York is gonna be where the movements are. One thing you could do too that I actually wanted to do recently, because somebody asked me the same question, what you can do is you can get this indicator, the Forex market sessions. You can go to the settings and put the range. Like, so you could say like, I think it's this setting. No, it's not that. It's the open. Okay, now you can do there's a way to make it where it shows the pips. I think, yeah, pips right here. So what you could do is just like figure out the session you can trade in and go back over like a month or 2 months time, add up, like get a spreadsheet, make one column, the amount of pips, and then just do the functions where you could find a mean of it, like find the average, and then just add them all up, and then divide them by the number of cells, and you could figure out like you could take a bunch of pairs and say like, okay, which ones move best during Tokyo, because Tokyo is fickle. Like you can definitely get some moves in Tokyo, and of course the go-to is to watch Asian pairs like Australian or Australian dollar. You could watch USD JPY, GJ, EJ, stuff like that. But that would be like the technical way to do it. So that's what I would do if I traded Tokyo. Also, I'm glad the stream is good, and you're welcome. For gold, which level am I looking for buying? I'm looking to sell gold, but is it coming down? I mean, we talked about this a while. Kind of just wasn't paying attention to gold for some. I was shorting it up in here. You can see, I think I just moused over something, but I mean, I think gold. I want to say the fucking weekly equalos, but I don't know. I think J.P. Morgan will just wait till it gets 1 pip away and then fucking market by 10,000 lots. But I would look for sells really coming into this imbalance. Like we're getting close to where that you could see some short-term buying, which would be this imbalance for me. Like that low under 1754, I'd look for the 4-hour to show some form of bullish desire to go higher. Where I would look is probably this imbalance right here above these highs. But after that, carnage continues. Oh, SPY, but I think it took out those equal highs. It did. Nice. Overall for indices, I mean, another thing too. Remember when we went over this in the beginning of July when we had the stream talking about why I thought this quarter was going to be bullish, and we went over everything from T-bonds to the monthly price delivery, and we went over that. I think I did on ES. Let's do it on ES, be better. So we look at ES. You're just looking at a monthly chart. We'll rewind it back to where we did this. was right before that. It was like July 1st, first week of July. I think it was actually the 6th, but you get it. So you look for the most recent pro trend order block. So in this example, and I'm using bodies. So it'd be this candle right here, right? I'm not going to consider that because I need a high volume candle. Now you could also look at this one, whichever one, right? Both of them kind of, this would probably be the clearer one. So then you want to look, left and find a candle that doesn't meet that candle's low, the first down candle, which would be your opposing order block. In this narrative, it'd be a bullish order block, and you want to just draw a line on it. So you see that these large, what you're seeing is the evidence, I guess, of where the large institutions or market makers are really starting to manipulate price. So, for instance, here in this candle, they pushed a buying narrative to induce bulls, so they could sell to them all through up here. Now, this is a monthly chart. On a daily chart, this is going to be distribution, or 4-hour chart. So then what happens is they sell back down, but these orders, they're not all mitigated. So there's going to be still buy orders that were never intended to be held, where they're, let's just say they're down and expeditiously off of these buys. But they were only 20% short or long in order to induce liquidity, so they could go 80% short, right? And they're just going back to the same area they did that back here. Back here, they were pushing shorts so they could go and induce retail liquidity to sell to them, so then they could buy. So they were 80% long here. So this is just how you can view it on a monthly chart, where it's a little cleaner and simpler. But after we see price ping pong off these levels, also oftentimes it's happening. Look, when is it happening? Right at the beginning of a quarter. Look at that, October 1st. This is the end of June, but July 1st is when we started the new quarter. But that there's a reason for that is because these contracts are delivered quarterly. So there's going to be a lot of money moving around at every quarter, and usually you'll see a consolidation and then a continuate. You'll see expansion for a quarter, consolidation, expansion, which this is a reversal, and then you'll see consolidation or a reversal immediately, right? So we saw price move to the upside pretty quickly, right? But look where we're at. We're already back up here. So if the narrative is to go down, which I'm not saying it for sure is, but if that's the case, we're going to want to see a bearish narrative start to play out. Guess where else we're at? Well, there was a weekly order block. See how this is where the monthly order block started. Then there was a weekly order block here, right? This candle. Now, we also are above equal highs. We're in an imbalance, and that's in the weekly. Same thing in the daily. Above equal highs and an imbalance. Now, I'm not going to say just yet that we're just, it's down only. I don't necessarily think that. We still have a ways to go in this imbalance, and at the end of the day, none of this is for sure. I'm not sitting here telling you that we're for sure going down from 4,300 or 430 on spot.
We're bleeding. Personally, my level for the S&P 500 since we hit them lows has been 4303.50. Rated that liquidity perfectly. It was fucking amazing. We've made it to 4327.50. People are trying to short it right now, and I'm like, I wouldn't short this.
I could see higher up into like this. So if we look at the impulse move right here,
100, we have equal highs up there.
Up in this area right here.
Equal highs right there. Yep.
Yeah, I could see it. What I want to see for a bearish narrative, like I could see. So where we're at now, we met one area of liquidity. I could potentially see, unless we get a mad bullish close today, like. Because whenever we're looking at the daily chart, we just want to see like, are we going to close higher, close lower? That's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for my bias. So right now we're at a point where it's still decisional. And also notice how clean those equal highs were right where that monthly order block was. But now, whenever we're looking at this, to me, it's still at that point where it's indecisive, right? And what I mean, it's at a point of liquidity where we don't know. Maybe it just absorbs this and goes higher. Maybe it wants something here. Maybe it wants those highs. Maybe it wants fucking all-time highs, right? Who knows? But we have to kind of let let price show us its hand. So that's why I put out on Twitter this week that we wanted to let the indices, give us a
Is that the daily?
huh?
Is that the daily?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
it's setting
You
up.
already had a daily change of character to the downside. You could respect that high. Yeah, that internal body structure there that was broken.
I don't really like to use chotches on high time
Like
frames.
the literally just the candle, like the one black candle.
Oh,
that
just the displacement.
engulfs it. Yeah.
Well,
So if you go down to like I don't know, probably all the way down to like a 15-minute, you'll see a break of swing structure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Internal swing structure to the downside, indicating that you might be that you are most likely pulling back.
Yeah, and like if we do pull back here, the next target I would have is right here, and it's not gonna be crazy in here. But and like here's the thing, we might come down, and hit that, and then you may be left an imbalance right here and a clean high. Then what happens? We come up, bam, into that imbalance. Then we have lows. And that's how you can start to consolidate. And retail is just getting exhausted. And then you'll start to see a true direction once all of this internal liquidity has been absorbed and mitigated, and these orders have been filled. Then you'll start to see the true hand of the market. Are we going for highs? Or are we going for lows? So then at that point, that's when you can start to really get a bias. That's why it's nothing to rush here with indices, in my opinion.
I'm just worried for one big news event.
Fuck the news. No, actually, some news can fuck you for sure.
Have that fucking.
Well, we're gonna have a high rake
supply.
or a rake hike. Instead of hike rake. Said both words fucked up and backwards. But they said I didn't watch it, but I've seen that they were talking about a 0.5% hike in September, which September is usually bearish. So I mean, if I had to like sit here and try to guess, I'm probably gonna tell you we're gonna go down. I mean, I'd look for like 41.55, but that's just speculation. That's just me going off of my gut. Which what I could really see though, if I'm trying to think like a market maker and like really what would I see? I could see something just like this, right? Because induce the bullish narrative. You get that bull flag, and then absolutely fucking free fall. That I could see that. Now that's me if I'm looking at it from like if I was able to manipulate this market, that's exactly what I would do. 100%, because everyone's like, "Oh, we fucking broke out. We broke out." You know what I mean? Bull flag, bull flag. That's what I'd do. But that's just all like speculation. Yeah, I'm probably gonna cut it at this one. I gotta do a meeting at 12. Keep fucking forgetting. I'll sit on stream with everybody, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I was supposed to do things. But yeah, as always, I appreciate you guys coming out. We'll be on tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, so it's 5 p.m. New York time. We're gonna recap just the entire week. How do we do on our daily bias? We gave it on Monday, which this week was kind of just to wait, so I can't really say much there. Except Bitcoin's correct. Bitcoin's been and it's been nice. Every week we've done this. We're the new stream schedule where Monday we give kind of an outlook. There hasn't been 1 week where we were wrong. So I'll take one last look at Bitcoin for you guys because I know everybody wants to look at it. I think that you could end up getting a nice opportunity for a trade, because if I'm looking at the daily and if I think the candle is going to go down, well, notice on all these candles that went down, what happened first? We went up. Right? Like for instance, when we caught that long, that candle probably looked bullish as fuck. Like let's just say this candle gets bullish. all these candles. Look, when you're drawing towards something, what are these wicks? We know these wicks are what? Sweeping liquidity. That's just retail liquidity getting obliterated. So what do we want to see? If we want to get in at the best part of the day, we want to catch the whole move of the day. Where do we want to get in? The top. So what was that candle having to do at that moment? It was bullish. That was a horrible drawing. Ignore that. But so that's where you can possibly get these trades, and that comes into like where I like that buy side liquidity in that range. I could see a push above that. I think there's a 4-hour imbalance up there. Now it could go higher. I'm not saying to tell you that's the area to short, the only one. Honestly, I see this as well up here. I think there's a 15-minute imbalance right in a premium of that first impulse move where that first redistribution started. So, we also have some highs front running that. I've got alerts set for these highs. So lately with me on Bitcoin, it's no raid, no trade. So I'm just kind of cooling. You might see me shoot something out later if we do give some form of sell signals. That's where I'd be on Bitcoin. I'd personally just chill. It's kind of moving very lackluster while indices are moving nicely. We met the target for it. Didn't signal anything here, but I just put it out that those equal highs had the interest. So it's nice to see that met. But yeah, I'm gonna hop off here until tomorrow. I appreciate the fuck out of all you guys coming through. If you like this on YouTube, you guys that are on YouTube, that helped me a shitload. So yeah, if you need anything, you guys know how to get at me, whether it's Twitter, Discord, YouTube, comments, however, I'll reply as quick as possible. But I appreciate you guys. Have a good day.